Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today for you, we're covering Wargreymon X. We have two different builds that you can go with this deck. I'll be primarily showing the version I like, which is not exactly the most popular version of it, but I will go ahead and throw in at the end or throughout sporadically the more popular strategy to go with this deck. Both, though, are just absolutely incredible. This deck is just... Oh, it's Wargreymon. I mean, it's Agumon, it's Greymon. Like, come on, they have like they're in every single set. They should be good with the amount of support that they get. And this deck is no different. This deck has been one of those decks that's been relevant since it came out. What I mean, golly, when did that come out now? Wargreymon BT9. We're in BT14 now. Like it's like only 5 sets, right? But BT9 is a lot longer ago than you might think. I mean, we're talking a year and a half, roughly, that this deck has been relevant. And it's still just as good, and it continues to get more support. They hit cards on the ban list, and it's like, that's cool. We can still do all these things just as easily as we have before, and it's just absolutely absurd. So we'll go ahead and jump into this absurdly overpowered strong deck. Also, don't forget, though, to check out our Etsy page, link in the description below. We have all of our memory markers that we've ever featured on the channel in the past for you guys there. They're all handmade out of clay, hand-painted as well, all by my wife, Digimon. Great memory markers for really any deck that you're playing. If there's not one, let us know that something that might be missing, a deck that isn't represented by one of the babies in there, so we can go ahead and get that made for you guys and feature it on the channel here. Also on the page you can find all of our new acrylics that we've got, all of the Digimon acrylics. They can either be fridge magnets, they can be keychains, they can just be little acrylic figurines. You can use them as memory markers, whatever. They're very, very cool. Seeing them in person, they look absolutely amazing. I got the Gabumon for myself and hung it on my backpack that I take the locals with me. Super cool stuff. Definitely go check those out. All right, as always, I've got the whole deck profile pulled up for you guys so you can kind of follow along with us and see kind of what our overall strategy is. At the bottom here, I do have 4 cards that are just kind of talking points when we get there, one of which is the obvious. This is the BT12 Wargreymon with the BT12 Metal Greymon strategy that you can opt for instead. I know the secret rare Wargreymon hasn't been incredibly popular, but I'm absolutely in love with this Wargreymon. It is like everything that all the best Wargreymons in this game have ever had, and they just kind of rolled it all into one, and they're like, here you go, here's this secret rare Wargreymon for you. The only thing it doesn't have is the OG BT1 not triggering security effects, but it has everything else, and I'm totally here for it. All right, so let's do this card by card. First up, we got the Koromon BT5 here. For Wargreymon X specifically, I think this is a must. Like, absolutely no contest, hands down. You got to go with this Koromon. DP boost and stuff like that, just not worth it. You need the when attacking. You can't even go with the new Koromon when a security is removed. You need this one because the draw, literally, you can draw into the Wargreymon X off of that draw, and if you have X antibody in the sources, you can do that Evo. It's so powerful. Like, having that extra draw just in case that it's the next one, it has come up for me countless times. That one extra final draw off this Koromon is the card I need. So, of course, I'm going to run that only 4 copies, no more, no less. We're not going to add any other baby because we want that Koromon every single time. Next, we've got the BT12 Agumon, just a solid searcher here that on play, it's a reveal 4. You can add a Greymon or an Omnimon, which is nice for this deck because we play plenty of Omnimons as well, and a tie. And we have the security attack +1 tie in here also for our memory setter. So really solid searcher here. And then all turns, your Greymons and Omnimons get 1000 DP. That all turns effect does come up, particularly in something like maybe the mirror match or in like Black Wargreymon X, things like that. Having that extra DP during your opponent's turn is actually pretty important a lot of times. Of course, we have the Agumon X, just the 0 Evo on top of another Agumon in raising area for another draw is just super solid. Even if you're not playing an X antibody version of the deck, I think every like Agumon deck will want to run this just because of that free Evo. But on play or when Digivolving, you get a reveal 3, add a Greymon or Omnimon. So again, just as good as the other searcher. But this one, instead of a tie, we're grabbing the X antibody option, which is very, 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 very powerful for the deck. Do you have to go full combo and go Wargreymon X off of the X antibody? No. Could you just completely rock the secret rare Wargreymon and still win with just that? Absolutely. But you just kind of getting these combo pieces is basically just the nail in the coffin to really finalize it. Also, Agumon X here, giving us 2 of the same levels to help with our Greymon X inheritable here. So, again, just another reason you have to run that one. Next, we have the new BT14 Agumon. This was basically just a straight up power creep of the old promo Agumon that gave a 2k buff, 2k DP buff on your turn. So this basically does exactly that same thing. But we also get the bonus effect here of start of your main phase. If you have a Tamer of Tai in its name, this Digimon may Digivolve into Greymon in its hand without paying the cost. So sometimes you can go like super like from nothing all the way up into full combo. If you have this tie setting you to 3, you promote up this Agumon, you Evo for free into this Greymon, you plus 1 memory. So now you're at 4 memory. You can go your free Evo here if you want. Next, you can go into your Metal Greymon for 3. Now you're at 1. Free Evo here into Metal Greymon X. You're still at 1 memory. And then you can go up into Wargreymon here, putting your opponent to 3, blitzing, and if you have the X antibody in Wargreymon X here, you can Evo there, and now you're swinging for a total of 1 check from here, another check from here, putting us at 2 checks. This is going to give us security attack +1. That's going to put us at 3 checks. And then, of course, the check itself off the Digimon, that's 4 total checks. Off this, gaining you 4 memory back, putting you back to 1 memory. And then, it doesn't stop there. You can go Blitz Omnimon to do that whole shenanigan. He'll unsuspend and swing again. An X antibody option card is not once per turn, and you can Evo into the Omnimon X here, which will trash that last security and win you the game. Literally, how crazy is that, right? Turn 1 play, Agumon in raising, hard play tie, pass turn. Turn comes back to you, full OTK of your opponent. It's just, God, how is that fair? No, it's not. It's absolutely absurd. Too much support. So turn 2 OTK in this deck, 100% possible. This really helps facilitate that. All right, next up, we've got the Greymon starter deck. 1 Greymon here. I'm still just a huge fan of this. I know a lot of people like take it or leave it. Some people are not playing it, as that many copies. This is still my go-to Greymon, though. That security attack +1, so good. So that's our 4 of, and then our 2 of is just the BT5 Greymon here that gains you that 1 memory back, and a 2000 DP boost, which does come up actually. So the Metal Greymon X will give us a 3k buff, putting our Wargreymon at 15, and then if you don't have your DP buff Agumons, this is a good backup to put you over 15k. Putting you at 16, 17, and so on. As long as you're at that, you're usually pretty good. But mainly, it's just this when Digivolving effect to gain that 1 memory. Nice little alternative. This might surprise you. I'm playing 4 Greymon X antibody. Yes, 4 of this card. Absolutely so good. This is our protection for the deck. We have to see a Greymon X antibody, either this one or the other one, to get our protection. And because his all turns when this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, and an effect would delete it or return it to hand, deck, or trash. A hand or deck. You may trash 2 cards of the same level in this Digimon's Digivolution cards to prevent it from leaving play. Even if you don't open one of your Greymons here, you can still Evo this right on top of an Agumon X, and you'll still have those 2 same levels there. Also, you have a second chance with the Metal Greymon and the Metal Greymon X to get 2 of the same levels. So even if you just have to skip Greymon entirely, it's okay. Totally worth it. So I went ahead and bumped this up to 4 just because I need to see this card to have our protection. Just very, very, very powerful, very, very important. To not want to skip out on this. Now we do have the alternative or the backup, whatever you want to call it, the other Greymon X, the virus type here. This one's nice also. I mean, it's super strong. It reduces the reduce the Evo cost by 1 for each color that your Metal Greymon is going to have. That Evo's on top of this guy. So most of the time it's going to make most of your stuff 2 costs. Sometimes it's a 1 cost. If you're using this the BT12 Metal Greymon, this is a 1 Evo cost on top of this Greymon X. It's pretty strong stuff, absolutely there. Just like we were talking about earlier with like the combos and stuff. If you go, this Greymon and then so on. If you go to this Greymon X, then you can just go into this one for 2 or the other one for 1, and then keep going full combo. Just busted stuff. And then the protection on this one is more centric to, you have to trash the X antibody, the option card from the stack to get the protection. So that's the kind of the difference. But it goes to the bottom of the owner's deck, which is kind of cool. So like I've had it done against me where someone kept cycling back the X antibody option to prevent deck out. Super frustrating, but pretty spicy. But limited to 1, so we're just running the 1 copy. Jumping up to our level 5s, though this is where my list does differ here. I've got the starter at 15 Metal Greymon, simply because it's security attack +1 inheritable. If I like this Greymon because of security attack +1, you bet your butt I'm gonna like this one also. So a Metal Greymon that has security attack +1 inheritable, cool, I'm totally here for it. Only a 3 Evo cost, not too bad. Now you do have to keep in mind he is just a black Digimon. He's not a duo color. A bit unfortunate there. This Evo part here doesn't matter because he can Evo on top of any Greymon in name for a cost of 3, so that's totally fine there. The main drawback, really the only drawback, is the offensive training doesn't work on him. You can't add him off of the offensive training search, as well as you can't use the delay effect because it has to be a red Digimon card in your hand. So you can't reduce his Evo cost with offensive training. But again, that's not too bad to worry about, especially if you have a memory fixer or something like that. It's still fine. Often I just Evo him in raising area anyway to pass turn until I can get really set up. And then we've got the Metal Greymon X. This is my go-to still for BT9. Gives that security attack +1, so Evo for 0. Even if you skip the other Metal Greymon and you have the X antibody option, you're still going to be good. And even if you don't have the X antibody option, you're still going to get that security attack +1, which is very, very important. But the extra 3K also very, very nice. So going Evoing on top of Metal Greymon is definitely the ideal strategy there. We don't have the unsuspend one during the opponent's turn because that just doesn't synergize with this deck at all. You could go for a Metal Greymon Alterius mode for another line of protection if you want. I just didn't feel like the deck needed it. We went pretty hard and ham on the Greymon the Greymon X level 4s that I feel like our protection is pretty covered. I don't really feel the need for the Alterius mode unless you just really want the pop effect. All right. We'll go ahead and cover the Wargreymons before we jump into that other strategy down there. So, like I said, I went with the new secret rare Wargreymon. I just really, really like what this is capable of. It can Evo on top of any level 5 Greymon, no matter the color, for cost of 4. So that works out. We can run the black one, no issues there. And then while you have a Tamer with Tai Kamiya in its name, and your opponent has a Digimon of 10,000 DP or more, one of your Agumon may Digivolve into this card in your hand for a Digivolution cost of 4, ignoring the Digivolution requirements. So Warp Evo for 4 into this Wargreymon, and then you get all your when Digivolving effects. So you get Raid, and you get the Blitz ability. Again, it's not actually Blitz because they're avoiding stuff like, I think they said Omni Shoutmon gives security attack +1 to a Digimon that has the Blitz keyword. So for whatever reason, I guess that's the only thing that people could think of is why they cut that out. But still, being able to warp into this guy and then blitz and raid over the big threatening 10,000 DP or more Digimon that your opponent has, that's pretty powerful. Especially like come out of nowhere. I mean, literally just like a good like mid to late game, you're behind and you just warp straight into this bad boy and then just clear their big threatening piece on the field. Super solid. Big fan of that. And then also when attacking, if you have a tamer, this Digimon gains security attack +1 and piercing for the turn. So again, most of the time we're going to be triggering this stuff, that security attack +1 and the piercing here. Just feels so good. I mean, we already talked about the crazy combos you can do. The raid with the piercing and the security attack +1, and then all your inheritables that you're going to have giving more security attack. Just absolute OTK machine. Also, he just gains this, and I think that's nice. He doesn't just have it. So if you evo on top of this Wargreymon, you're going to get to keep all of these abilities because he gains them for the turn. So then you go into Wargreymon X Antibody here. So all turns when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory. So 1 Evo cost here, you're going to gain that memory back. I think I did skip over that earlier. So 1 Evo into this, and then you gain all that memory back. So super strong here ability to full OTK. You can just go in, clear your opponent's whole security stack, gain all that memory back to bring it back to your side of the field, and then you can go Blitz Omnimon for game. But also end of attack once per turn if Wargreymon or X Antibody is in the Digimon's Dissolution cards. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP. He's going to have a pretty massive DP. We're going to give that 3k off of this, so that puts him at 15k. If he's got this Greymon, that's going to put him at 17k. And then this Agumon, that'll put him at 19k. I mean, most of the time, he's going to definitely be at least at 15k, which is going to clear most everything. If you can get one more DP boost underneath him, either of these Agumons here, just to put him at least at 16k, then you're clearing most of the big threats, like Death X. You're clearing Death X. You're clearing, what else are we doing here? Quartzmon, lots of stuff like that. Even what's his name, Ruin Mode, Shine Greymon Ruin Mode. You're clearing all those big nasty threats that are in the game here, those level 7 threats. This Wargreymon's going to just pop them instantly. So end of attack. So then you bring it back to your turn, and then you pop something, and then yeah, it's just absolutely nuts. So no matter which version of the deck you're playing Wargreymon X Antibody because he combos so nicely with what the deck is doing here. Now the alternative here is to run this Metal Greymon instead. He's going to give you raid, and then all turns once per turn when an attack target is switched, you may play a black or red tamer with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying the cost. A nice way to cheat your tie into play there, not too bad. And then he gives the inheritable of the piercing here, whereas this Wargreymon, you have to have a tamer to gain the piercing. If you don't have the tamer, you don't get the piercing. This is just going to give it to you no matter what. And then the Wargreymon here from BT12, he's going to have raid, same as the other Wargreymon, so they're on equal footing there. When Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon gets 3000 DP and reboot, so he's going to be up in the 20s, basically, with the way that the deck is built and the combos that we do. He's like 20-something thousand DP, so nothing's stopping him. Even like a bunch of DP minus, he's still going to be absolutely massive that your opponent can't handle. The reboot isn't overly helpful here, because like I said, the deck is pretty strong at just doing a full OTK, so the need to reboot isn't really that relevant, I don't think. I like this one in the Black Wargreymon X variant of the deck, because then you're going to have like the Metal Greymon X that when you unsuspend, or when a Digimon unsuspends during the opponent's turn, you get you get a trash the security. So that works in Black Wargreymon X really well, but in this one, it didn't feel super good. But the all turns once per turn when an attack target is switched, unsuspend this Digimon, that's where the power comes in with the raid. So you can swing raid, an attack target was switched, he will then unsuspend himself. Now, then you can still go into Wargreymon X right afterwards. So you're still going to be in a very, very good position there. After that, you don't really need any of these other effects. Once you raid once and you unsuspend yourself, like, you're fine. You could then go into Wargreymon X and still be in a very, very, very good position. The thing I don't like about this one, no blitz. Like, that kind of sucks. He's only a 3 Evo cost, so you can finagle stuff. My thing is, I like to go from literally an Agumon all the way up into Wargreymon X, off of a single memory fixer. Like, that's strong. You can't do that with this Wargreymon. Also, the way raid works is the opponent has to have a, when this Digimon attacks, you may switch the target of the attack to one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with the highest DP. So if your opponent doesn't leave you anything on the field that's unsuspended, or just doesn't have anything on their field, you don't get that unsuspend effect. So, like, the whole reason you bring this Wargreymon goes out the window if your opponent just halfway decently is good at the game and plays around it. If your opponent is that good, especially if you're playing it like, Nats or something like that, the opponent isn't going to just leave that on field for you to, like, OTK them or anything like that. They're going to play around this Wargreymon, whereas the other Wargreymon, you can't really play around it. It's going to do what it's going to do no matter what the opponent does. So that's why I chose not to run that package, and I went with the package I went with instead. That's just my take on it. In total, you can go security attack +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 with the tie and the security check itself. So you're swinging for a total of 6, right? That was how the math was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 checks in total. Pretty solid stuff. So you can skip any of these. Like, if you don't hit this Greymon, you're okay. You can still do everything you need to do. You don't hit the Metal Greymon here and you're going to skip it. As long as you got the X antibody option, you're good, because you can still trigger. Actually, you don't even need the X antibody option. Sorry. That's only for the 3000 DP, but you're good. Like, either of your level 5s, you're fine. And then you're going to have your Wargreymon, of course, because that's like how you're going to do your whole play, is you at least need the Wargreymon there. And if you don't have the tie here, as long as you have the other pieces, you can still full OTK. This deck is like super, super efficient, and it has so many fail-safes upon fail-safes upon fail-safes. Works out great. Now, like I said earlier, though, the only protection we're going to have is the Greymon X, which is pretty solid, but it does have 2 weaknesses, I would say. 3 if you want to count DP minusing, but we don't really have a good way to deal with that other than the Metal Greymon X that prevents DP loss. But I'm not going to run to counter that. I'm not going to do it, because you have to be so suboptimal when building around DP minus prevention that it's just not worth it. But I will say, though, Chaos Egg and Lone Key could still ruin you a little bit, because they're going to send you to security, and Greymon X, either of them don't prevent that from happening. So there are some stuff you could tech in if you really, really want to. You could go with the BT1 Wargreymon. He does gain that when Digivolving, gains security attack +1. No blitz, though, so that's a little unfortunate. But this Digimon doesn't activate security skills on option cards it checks, so that just turns off everything. Hammer Spark, they don't gain memory off of that. What we talked about, Lone Key and Chaos Degradation, it doesn't have to worry about that. He dodges all of that stuff. I have seen this one as teched in to a decent number of decks as a one of. So if you feel like you really should run this, you could drop one of your Wargreymons down and add in the BT1. If you're very scared of it, I think it's dependent on the format and the meta. Depending on what the meta does, could definitely be a big factor there. If Setcon, comes back again, something like that. Or if you don't want to run that BT1 Wargreymon, you could just throw in a copy of A Delicate Plan. Does the same thing for you, except you get to keep your blitz, right? You get to keep your blitz and your piercing and your raid and everything on your Wargreymon here. The issue is finding space for A Delicate Plan is more difficult, I would say, than the Wargreymon here. Because at least if you're dropping a meta and adding a mega, you're not going to feel the impact as much. But where do you drop in this list to work in A Delicate Plan? not so easy. Maybe your removal option, or if you want to cut down offensive training, one of your options here at the end, you could drop those and add in ADP if you need the protection, if it's really, really important to you. All right, let's go ahead and finish this out here. Of course, we got the Blitz Omnimon, when Digivolving Blitz, when Digivolving unsuspend this Digimon. Remember, you can pick the order of operations, so make sure you go unsuspend first and then activate Blitz. I'm sure there's a rule shark out there that'll totally gimp you if you go, all right, when Digivolving Blitz, we'll unsuspend. They'll be like, well, you said Blitz first, so you activate Blitz and nothing happens, and then you unsuspend, now it's my turn. They would totally do something so stupid like that, and that would really suck. So make sure you word it correctly when you say it. And then all turns, if an opponent's effect would delete this Digimon or return it to its hand or deck, you may prevent it from leaving play by trashing a level 6 Digimon card in this Digimon's Delusion cards. So this is nice. If you've already used your Greymon X's here, and you don't have any other protection, you're like, all right, we're going for game here. I need this. That is another line of protection you could go with. But in general, if you're going Blitz Omnimon, then you're swinging for game. In theory, you shouldn't be digivolving on top of your megas into this guy if you're not going for game. Now, it could come up for sure, though. And then we have the Omnimon X from BT10. Absolutely love this one. 3 Evo on top of another Omnimon, or 7 on top of a level 6 there. Not entirely the best, but it could be okay. When Digivolving, return all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest level to the bottom of their owner's deck in any order. So if there's multiple level 6s, you get to return all the level 6s to the bottom of the deck. That's really cool. When Digivolving and or when attacking once per turn, by placing 1X antibody or level 6 card with this Digimon Delusion cards to the bottom of the owner deck, reveal all of your opponent's security cards, trash one, then place the rest in your opponent's security face down, then your opponent shuffle their security stack. So this is another power play here. You, like I said before, you go full combo there. Say you get your opponent down to 1 security, like you missed multiple of your security tech plus 1 effects. You're missing this Greymon and you're missing the tie, right? And so your opponent's at 5. You can only check 4. You're sitting there on your Wargreymon X. You gain that memory back at least off those 4 checks to keep it on your turn, and then you go Blitz Omnimon here. So we're going to unsuspend and then attack again. Use our X antibody to then go into Omnimon X here. He's going to use his When Digivolving effect here to place an X antibody or the level 6 card to the bottom of your deck, and then you basically get to reveal that last card in security, trash it, and then the attack goes through, and boom, you just won the game. Very, very powerful combo here. We're just running this one at a 1 of here for that very specific interaction. Does it come up all the time? No. But does Blitz Omnimon come up? Yes. This one actually comes up a lot, pretty often. So we run this one at a 2 of, because you really, really want to see this in a game. Absolutely want to see this guy in a game. This one only comes up every, I would say 1 out of 4 games that this Omnimon will come up. Ty, we already talked about multiple times. He gives you another security check on your red Digimon, and he's also a memory setter, so setting you to 3 memory. We already talked about the crazy combos you can do. The X antibody option, you should know what this card does. You just slide it underneath a security stack. Also, if it gets hit in security, you gain a memory, so a mini little hammer spark. That's kind of cool, and it goes to the hand. You don't have to worry about it going to trash, because that would suck. But then the when attacking here isn't once per turn, so a lot of people, I don't know if they've realized that, but it's not once per turn. So if you have an effect that unsuspends you and you get to attack again, you could trigger this card multiple times in a turn. So super, super strong card. I got 3 of the offensive trainings. I love the offensive trainings here. I love the flexibility because I can add tie off of this if I hit it. Reveal 2, add any red card, and then that delay, reduce the Evo cost. So what I've been doing it a lot on is reducing this 4 cost down to a 2 Evo cost, and then when we Evo for the 1 cost here into the Wargreymon X, we can typically gain back enough memory off of his effect to make up for evoing 2 megas basically back to back, especially if we've used the offensive training to help reduce that a little bit. So running this out of 3 of, I had the room for it, so I went ahead and threw it in here. Again, I like this more than like a memory boost card. Right now, I can hit the tie off of it, as well as I can hit my option cards, particularly removal option cards, being able to, like if I'm running Hades Force, like I am in Black Wargreymon X, I can grab that, you know, whatever big removal card I have, if I reveal that, and I'm in a sticky situation where I really need that option card over whatever Digimon, I'd rather have a smaller search, but a more flexible targets that I can grab. And then so I went with Crimson Blaze as my removal of choice. Now this might surprise some people, but then other people were like, oh no, I get that. That makes total sense. Wargreymon X can already pop. Basically, whatever big threat is on the field, I can use Wargreymon X to pop it. Like, I'm good. Hades Force would basically do the same exact thing. It's going to pop something relative to whatever the Greymon that I have on field and I'm basing my deletion off of. So either way, Hades Force and Wargreymon X are kind of doing the same thing. They're popping a big target. I'm covered on that. What I'm not covered on is dealing with smaller threats. Commandramon is so popular right now. Also, we talked about Bloom. Bloom was our feature match this week. Also a very popular deck right now. So both of those being played in such quantities, they flood their field so crazy. If you've played against, if you have played against D Brigade and seen, if you let that deck go and just let it go and do its thing, good luck winning, because when they have a field full of 12 Digimon that are all blockers, and then they got that protection effect on their mega, that's hard to deal with. So Crimson Blaze there, clear out the field. Oh man, it feels so good. Clear out their whole field of all their bodies, and then they don't have anything to sacrifice to keep their Brigadramon alive. And so then you can use either Raid to get over it, or you can use the Wargreymon X when attacking to pop it, because you're going to be playing Crimson Blaze for free pretty much in those matches. Feels so good. I really, really like Crimson Blaze in this deck, because it makes up for the faults or the weaknesses that this deck has. It has basically no defensive capabilities like we have with Black Wargreymon X. They have the redirect ability, they have the ties that give them blocker. They've got some good defensive tools that really help them out, so they can afford to be a little bit slower because they have the defensive capabilities to do it. This deck, though, no. If the opponent starts to outpace you, you need a way to rein them back in. And in several matches, this is going to be the perfect one for it. Even the new Rookie Rush decks that are coming around, like people running like the Ukamons and stuff like that. Like, just clear all that trash off the field. Crimson Blaze, fantastic removal card. Happy to have it. But that is going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're still here somehow, some way, like 30-something minutes into this video, please like the video and subscribe. Help us get to that 5K. I'm trying to hit 5K. I was hoping before the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe before Nats. Would love to hit 5K before we get to Nats.